I feel bad for King. Going from being the people's champion in Tekken 7 with Lil Majin's infamous EVO 2018 run, to becoming the boogeyman of Tekken 8, being one of the most hated characters in the game. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Let's talk about it. Having appeared in every Tekken game since the original in 1994, King has become one of the most recognizable characters, not only in Tekken, but in the entirety of the fighting game genre. King has always been very popular in Tekken, and the nature of his design, that being of a grappler, in a game like Tekken, made it so that he's always seen a decent level of hate, especially in lower levels. But Tekken 8 has brought this to a whole new level. Everywhere you go, people are complaining about Tekken 8 King. Hell, just looking at my own comments, it's clear that King has consistently been one of the most hated characters since the launch of Tekken 8. People hate this guy. They hate him more than this, and even this. But why? Let's start with the nature of this character. Being a grappler in a game where breaking grabs is very hard to do, especially for beginners, has always made him somewhat of a noob killer. Breaking grabs is hard. Even I've been struggling with it recently. And this ties to my first point, which is the system changes in Tekken 8. Let's be honest, grabs have never been better. They track to both sides now, completely invalidating sidesteps and side blocks. They now become essentially unbreakable on counter hits, as the amount of time you have to break it becomes so small it's unreactable, and throws are now completely unbreakable when used to punish, making them incredibly powerful punish tools. Now, when the game first launched, King notoriously had his devastating chain throws actually being guaranteed when used to punish power crush moves, potentially giving him up to 100 damage off of a punish. This has fortunately been patched, but it is a little ridiculous that it took them over a month to fix this. So, grabs are pretty overpowered in Tekken 8. I think we can all agree with that. Combine that with most Tekken players who aren't super competitive, which is the vast majority of the community by the way, being bad at breaking throws, so they just end up ducking, and oh look, he just hop kicked me and I lost the game. Combine this with the insane success of Tekken 8, introducing thousands of new players to Tekken for the very first time, and I can only imagine what it's like to play your first match of Tekken online and get chain throwed 3 times in a row. By the way, when I talk about the community throughout this video, keep in mind I'm not referring to the 1% of tournament players. I'm referring to the other 99% of players who aren't super competitive. The best online games aim to find a good balance between keeping pro players happy with the game's balancing, and also appealing to the average players in average ranks. This isn't always easy to do, but again, before you send your angry comments yelling at me that tournament players don't struggle with King, so all the people complaining about it should just shut up and get good, keep this in mind. Like I said earlier, new players have always hated King, and now we have more new players than ever. This is why it seems like King's being hated so much more these days. We've seen a huge influx of new players, and not only new players, but also new content creators. Tons of new content creators like Lily Pichu, Pokimane, Scara, and probably way more are bringing more eyeballs in this game than ever. And wouldn't you know it, they're new players with big audiences, so they're naturally gonna hate King as well. And trust me, they really do hate King.
I hate King so much. I hate King, 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 I hate King.
But new players aside, King is also, in my opinion, one of the hardest matchups to learn in the game. Not because he's overly complicated or gimmicky, because he really isn't. It's just the nature of throws in Tekken 8, or in any Tekken game really. With other characters, when you say learn the matchup, we mean learning to duck strings, when to punish, when to sidestep. All these are super relevant in counterplay, but these can all be practiced relatively easily and don't require insane reaction time. Grabs in Tekken have a default 20 frame break window, and being able to break grabs on reaction might seem easy from the perspective of Tekken pros who've been playing this game for over 2 decades, but for the other 99% of the community, breaking grabs is hard. Very hard, and I feel like a lot of Tekken veterans forget about how difficult it is to break throws as a new player. And combine this with the fact that, again, the majority of the Tekken community plays the game online, not at in-person tournaments, meaning there's always going to be some delay, making breaking throws even harder, and Tekken's netcode is kind of stinky, making breaking throws online a lot more difficult than you think. Training reaction time takes a long time, sometimes months or even years, and I would honestly argue that training good throw breaks in Tekken is up there with other really hard things to learn, like the Korean backdash and the electric. And King is a character who's built around grabs. If you can't break his throws properly, then you really don't know the matchup, and you better have perfect defense and be perfectly ducking every throw, or be playing Alisa and spamming your chainsaw, or you're gonna get grabbed and have a really bad time. It sounded like I was joking just there, but funnily enough, mashing is actually one of the main ways to counter King players online right now, and is why despite his popularity, his win rate is actually pretty low. How are King players supposed to grab you if you're just mashing random buttons? But for the average Tekken player who just wants to play fundamentally based and learn the game, yeah, they're gonna be struggling. And listen, I'm not even saying I'm against throw breaks being far more inaccessible in Tekken compared to every other fighting game. I actually appreciate this in some ways, and fully acknowledge it's a part of the game's identity. I'm just trying to explain why this leads to characters like King feeling really unfair for the general public, as the counterplay to him is locked behind a very, very difficult thing that takes a lot of practice. I'm not even saying King is an unfair character. I personally don't mind fighting him, and I think there's a lot of characters in this game who are far more annoying to fight. But numbers don't lie. It would be disingenuous of us in the community to downplay thousands of people's experiences who are having major problems with the game. Most people who play Tekken can't break grabs. So again, it makes sense why most people hate this character. And him being as strong as he is right now definitely isn't helping. Okay, seriously, I have no idea why they buffed King in the latest patch. That was pretty funny. King is also currently the most played character according to the updated data from Not Quite Factual, so you're gonna run into this character a lot. You can learn all of his strings, but if you can't break throws, you're really not going to be good at the matchup, and you're going to lose a lot of points to this character. Breaking throws isn't just something you can practice in training mode and then never lose to it again, like a lot of other gimmicky strings. You have to put a lot of time. And honestly, even if you spent hours and hours in training mode practicing breaking throws on reaction, breaking them while in-game is a whole different story. I've been trying to think of a solution to this issue, and it's honestly been really difficult. So where does this leave our Jaguar-loving wrestler? Well, it leaves him in a pretty terrible spot, where the majority of people either play him and love him, or hate him with a passion. I can't overstate how many comments I get about people absolutely despising this character. I don't envy the developers, as balancing a character like King to not be awful in a tournament environment where everyone knows how to break throws, but to also not be ridiculously overpowered and make everyone want to quit in lower levels, doesn't sound like an easy task. And while again, he is very strong right now, I don't see nerfing him as really fixing the problem for the average player. He's strong, but there's plenty of other really broken characters. It's just the issue of throws, making the counterplay to him being so inaccessible for most players. This was an issue in Tekken 7. Any character who relies on grabs in a game where breaking grabs is this hard is always going to be hated. But if we're being honest, the Tekken 8 system changes made this a lot worse. So that's my best idea for a solution. The best solution I can think of is to just tone down the overall grab system in this game. Was there really a reason to make grabs track to both directions? Should Giant Swing be able to catch you sidestepping and do like 70 damage? No. Should grabs be unbreakable on reaction when used as counter hit tools? This just gives characters like King absolutely insane counter hit tools that essentially no other character has access to. This obviously wouldn't solve the problem completely, but it would make the character feel a lot more fair to fight in competitive and in casual play. And I think the community would respond really well to these changes. I'm thinking about actually making a full video about grabs in Tekken 8, because I just think grabs are such a big problem right now. And even without the Tekken changes, grabs in general make Tekken a lot more inaccessible than most people think. Let me know in the comments what you think about King in this game, or grabs in general. Do you think they're no issue at all, or do you have a huge problem with them? My general audience seems to really hate King, but I'm hoping this video will reach some new viewers, and I'd be really interested in seeing what you guys have to say about this issue. Let me know, I'll be down there discussing it with you guys as always. Anyway, that's about all I've got today. If you guys enjoyed the video and want to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel. Only about 9% of my viewers are subscribed, so it really helps out a lot. It's free to do and you can always change your mind later. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.